Well, welcome back. It's been about a week and a half since I made a video, so I thought I'd put out a video this morning on a recent project I did, and then I'll get busy on making a couple more that will follow directly. This is a laser video, and it's just a fun little video without a significant amount of instruction, so it should go fairly fast compared to some of my longer videos. And what I'm going to be talking about is this welcome mat that you see up here in the corner. And I'll tell you how I got to that point. My daughter bought this black mat because I'd seen some YouTube videos out there where people had laser engraved their doormats, and I wanted to try it. I had also noticed that when they were doing that, in some cases the doormat's caught on fire and people said to stay away from it, and others it worked just fine. So I thought I'd give it a try, and I made sure that I had some safety precautions with a fire extinguisher and water and a smother blanket all there in case things went wrong, but they didn't. So this video should go pretty quickly. Let me show you how I did it. As with all these laser projects, it starts conceptually in Lightburn, and so this is the Lightburn screen you see here, and I had my daughter come in and design what she wanted on the mat because it was her idea to go forward with this thing, and she wanted to see how it would work. And she likes some sayings from Hocus Pocus. It happens to be one of her favorite Halloween movies. And so she designed this mat. It's all her credit. Apparently this is a quote from Hocus Pocus. And so if I tried to market this or something, obviously I would not be able to do that. So she designed it the way she wanted to, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail there. A couple key points is, we put a rectangle that was the size of the mat that you see right here, and I used a tool path, so this T2. I often use T2 and T1 when I want to put things in that I don't want to take a chance on accidentally carving. The other thing we decided we wanted to do is make this all a fill project. I then put in the cut and speed settings over here on the left side. If you open that up, there's only one tool path, or I'm used to talking to CNC, there's only one engraving path, and it's a fill. And you'll see I did the top bat over here first, and I had a little different setting. It was 325 and 25, I believe, right here. And then I adjusted it a couple times, and this is the end result that I came up with for fill settings. I had actually attempted to use a lower lines per inch, so I went through a couple iterations, and the way I did that was I would burn a portion of the mat at a time, and then I would adjust, and I knew I could always burn it twice. And so I started with this bat, then I went over to this bat, and then I tested it on the text, and so forth until I finally landed on, I liked the results from this cut and fill setting, or this fill setting, speed and power setting. Normally, I would have run a test grid on material I was doing if I was going to be having the luxury of mass producing them and then selling them, and I could have some throwaway. But I didn't have any place to throw away on this mat, so I approached it in that common sense manner, trying to stay low on the settings, knowing that I could always go back over an engraving if I want to. Overall, this wasn't a short duration laser project. This ended up taking about an hour and a half by the time I got done between testing and engraving this mat, because it's 18 by I think 30 inches. Let's take a look what it is. It's 18 by 30 inches. By looking at that tool, you can come up here and see what that is. Now, what I didn't do yet, but I'm going to do for the future, is since I've decided on this mat that this is a good setting, I'm going to use the library feature. And this is such a handy feature. I thought I'd already done this, but I didn't when I looked at it. So this, let's show what we're going to do. We're going to save the settings for this mat, so in the future we have a starting point that we've actually tried. So I'm going to take this setting up here where it says fill, and if you come down here, I've chosen library, and then if you look over here, you can see create new layer. And if I wanted to use one of these materials, I would just type that material in, and the setting I'm going to give would go immediately under that. But I'm going to put down Doormat. And that should work for now. It's no thickness. I'm not going to try to cut through it, so I'm not going to put a thickness in there. If I wanted to, I could have put a thickness in there, as you can see just by clicking on it, but I don't want a thickness. No thickness. And I'm going to say dark engraving for my title. And I'll put down dark engraving Halloween, so I remember where that came from. And okay. And now what you can see is if you look in this library, if I wanted to know what did I do with the doormat last time, I can come under this library, Doormat, and pick this dark engraving Halloween, open that up, and it tells you what my fill settings were. If this was something different, let me try it. Let me come over here. Let me try to change this here for a second. Let's say I had this at 230 and 30, hit OK. Now, if I come over here and I pick this one, and you see, because I've got dark engraving and I got this one selected, if I hit assign, watch what happens up here. You see it changed to my settings. Once I have my settings in, it's just a matter of placing the mat in the laser and then going through and doing the testing, which is what I'll show next. Let me point out the easiest way for me to ever put something in the laser with the mat is by using this location button. If I use this location button and then I go over to a location, which is what I do, and I click on it, what will happen is the laser head will move to that location. And I can't demonstrate that because right now I'm going through the Lightburn part up here in my office. But I've demonstrated that in other videos. So the laser red dot would be right here after clicking on that. I would simply put the mat corner right here, and then I would turn around and I would make sure it was straight by simply moving the laser head across and then down just to make sure everything's square. And I would frame this job and I would know that the laser is in the right location. With that, let's go look at us burn a mat. At this point, I've placed the mat in and I've located it and I'm getting ready to make my first burn and my test burn on the bat. But I've got a water bottle, a fire extinguisher, and a smother blanket all ready to go in case there is a fire, and I'm hovering over this thing to make sure everything works the way I want it to. So let's go ahead and get started with the first test burn. That first test burn, that bat took about 15 minutes or 20 minutes to burn, which was pretty long, I thought, and it looked pretty good. I thought maybe if I increased the speed to 350 millimeters per second over the 300 it was set at, or 325 it was set at before, and also increased the power to 30% power versus the power I had it at before, that I would get an equivalent darkness but faster. I also spread out the lines per inch, or the DPI, and took it way down to like 250, which is what I do a lot of my engraving projects with. And you'll see that it didn't get as deep and as dark as I wanted to, so I had to go ahead and run a second pass on that, and then I upped the power and lowered the speed for the next test. So I changed the settings to what ended up being the final settings on this pass. This is some words, and I upped the DPI to 300 from 254, and the speed I put at 350 millimeters per second, and the max power at 30% power, but I also raised the min power to 30% power, and I got the result I needed. Let's watch it in super speed. And that's the finished product. I think it looked pretty good. It looks even better on the doorstep. Let me show you. That's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this short little project video. It was fun making, and my daughter appreciates the mat. The mat turned out pretty good. You saw the previous picture of it. Here it is right here in front of the door that my daughter put it in front of. Here's what it looks like. Turned out pretty good. A couple clues with the laser that I gave in this video was, number one, using the locate button to properly place your mat or whatever it is you're trying to engrave in the laser. That locate button is invaluable, and I have left a link to a video where I talk about making templates and then using that locate button on how to properly place the template. And number two, the other topic that I talked about that might be useful for some of you is the whole idea of using the library function. I'm also going to place a link in the video description to the Louisiana Hobby Guy's lesson on the library where I first learned about it, and he goes into more detail about it. And that might be worth your time watching. That library function is pretty valuable in that you can store settings so that in future projects you can always go back to what you used in the past that worked, and then if you need to modify it in a future project, you can modify it and have another setting and put notes, etc. in there so that you can know exactly what settings you started with in the past and make it easier for starting out. Again, I do hope you enjoyed this little video. It wasn't meant to be a detailed instructional video, but I did want to include a couple nuggets in there. And go try something. Go do something. Just do it as Nike says. Enjoy your time. Enjoy your projects. And if you think I deserve a like on this, if you got a little kick out of it or enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up because that always helps. And furthermore, if you want to be made aware of future project videos or instructional videos, please subscribe and hit the all button. If you subscribe to all, then you'll get notified when I make future videos. Have a great day, and I hope life is doing you well. And until we meet again, wishing you the very best.